there are some really smart people in this world, but most of the successful people have just been consistent. They've been resilient. It's not necessarily that they've all come up with some earth-shattering idea or created something from nothing. A lot have, but a lot of people are franchise owners. They bought into a restaurant and continued to work it. They I don't know, created a candle company because out of passion and continued to grow it and scale it, right? It doesn't have to be super complicated, but you do have to believe in the path that you're on and believe in yourself. Not that you're going to get it right every single time, but that you will get it right more often than not, and that your dreams are actually possible.
Over 50% of Black Americans are unmarried, and only 2% of Black families in America have a net worth over $1 million.
We are on our journey to not only join that 2%, but grow that 2%.
Facts. I'm Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, with my beautiful co-host.
I'm Sinclair, aka the health nerd. You can go to our website at them4show.com, our Instagram at them4show, and our YouTube channel at Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making.
And welcome to the M4 Show.
So the first thing I think is it's a really small percentage of the population that's actually entrepreneurs. If my numbers are correct in my memory, which is a little faulty, it might only be like 8% of the US population is entrepreneurs. And I feel like it feels big for us because we're in that community. But, you know, a college professor asked our class one time, he said his grandmother told him or asked him, "Are you educated or are you schooled?" Right. And that's kind of a profound question. Educated means you know how to look up things, think for yourself, think critically, find things out and make your own decisions. Schooled means that you have been taught how to fall in line. That's my definition of it. I think most of us are schooled. And also, a lot of our parents and grandparents didn't have a lot of choices about how they were going to make an income for themselves. So a lot of people don't think about being an entrepreneur because it's tough. It's not easy, right? You have to go through the ups and downs of, well, this idea, it didn't work that I want. I'm not making the money that I want. Can I pivot, or do I go and find quote unquote security in another position, right? So it's just not as widely celebrated in our culture, I believe, until someone has made it. But we don't talk about the journey of what it takes to get there. And our parents always want what's best for us. Job security for my parents' generation was going to work for a business for 30, 40 years and retiring with enough money to live off of for the next 20, right? Our generation doesn't have job security like that. We don't have pensions like they used to. You know, there's no business loyalty and there's no employee loyalty either. So I think it's a shift in thinking and just a radical belief in yourself that you can figure it out and that you will be successful.
Oh, a radical belief in yourself. I don't want that to just slip by.
Right.
You need to have a radical belief in yourself and what you are able to achieve. What helped you, as you know, start your own podcast, your law office? Like, how did you get that radical belief in yourself?
Well, and I can tell you, sometimes it wavers, right? It's not that it's always steady or constant, but I think that there's an underlying understanding that I can figure it out. I'm resilient. I'm a problem solver. And there are some really smart people in this world, but most of the successful people have just been consistent. They've been resilient. It's not necessarily that they've all come up with some earth-shattering idea or created something from nothing. A lot have, but a lot of people are franchise owners. They bought into a restaurant and continued to work it. They created a candle company because out of passion and continued to grow it and scale it, right? It doesn't have to be super complicated, but you do have to believe in the path that you're on and believe in yourself. Not that you're going to get it right every single time, but that you will get it right more often than not, and that your dreams are actually possible. I think it's Henry Ford, right, who said, whether you can or whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that's 100% true in entrepreneurship. It's not about, can you do it? It's, are you willing to put in the work to make it happen?
Love it. Love it. And so I do want to make it, because there's some people listening here that are going to be like, oh, I'm ready. I'm an entrepreneur. I was just ready for the right word, for the right step. And then there's other folks that maybe they need to start off by just doing maybe a side hustle.
Right.
Maybe they need to work their 9 to 5 for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years while building their business. Are there still benefits to having a 9 to 5 job where you're paying taxes, you're going to work, you maybe have a retirement account, but you also have this LLC structure that can do a lot of the same stuff? How does that maybe work? Okay.
Yeah. So one of the challenges that we particularly face, especially in the Black community and probably in the Latinx community too, is funding, right? There, you cannot start a business with no money. So whether that's self-funding or having an investor or some other option like family investments and stuff, you need money to start a business. You need money for the equipment that you're going to use. You need money to pay the bills while you figure it out, while you try and get some customers and things like that. So a number of people have started or have kept their 9 to 5s while they've slowly built their business on the side. That also, I think, helps to take some of the pressure off of the business and trying to make it, make $1 million by year 3. When you don't need the money from the business, then you become more detached from the challenges. And then you can look at the challenges as like, all right, let me solve this problem because your needs are met in some other place. So there's definitely a benefit of continuing to keep your 9 to 5 and starting the side hustle for sure. The other thing that's great about having a 9 to 5 and starting an LLC is that when you have an LLC, the way that it's taxed, it's called a disregarded entity.
Look, we're going to get right back into the amazing podcast. But if you didn't know, in 2017, we created Black Wall Street, the board game, because we thought more families needed to know about the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street. More families needed to know about the legacy of Black excellence left behind of Tulsa Black Wall Street, that we can own a Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Salon. We can have a Booker T. Washington High School. We can have an Uncle Steve's Barbecue. We can have a Renaissance man like Simon Berry, who had his own taxi service and bus service that got bought out by the city of Tulsa. We have brilliance in our DNA. We wanted to make sure that your family can play a game that teaches them about this brilliance. So we have Black Wall Street, the board game, right here. We had the first edition available in 2017. That got sold out. We're on the second edition right now, or you can get the beautiful masterpiece version of the game as well. It's up to you. Head to playblackwallstreet.com and get yourself Black Wall Street, the board game, to empower you, your family, and generations to come. Playblackwallstreet.com. Let's get back to the episode.
Meaning that you have the legal protection like a corporation, but you get taxed, or you're personally responsible on your personal income tax return for paying the taxes from the business. So what does that mean? In simple terms, it means that all of the income you're earning from the LLC and from your 9 to 5, your W-2 job, gets looked at under one umbrella. And the benefit of having the LLC is that if you are not profitable year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, then that reduces your overall tax liability. So you're putting all the money that you've earned or haven't earned from the LLC in with the pot of money that you've earned from your W-2. Also together, if you're married or filing jointly with someone, all of that gets combined together. And if you have lost money in your LLC, that reduces your overall tax liability. On the flip side, of course, if you are profitable, then that also gets put into the general pot of money. But because you have this legal entity filed, you can take advantage of different tax write-offs. So all of the business expenses that you have become a tax write-off. They reduce your overall tax liability. They're a business expense. Some things like meals are 100% tax deductible, at least through the remainder of this year. Equipment, I don't know if that's 100% or maybe, some kind of percentage. You should definitely talk to a certified public accountant or an enrolled agent about that. But you get to write off stuff. Every time you use your phone, everyone's using their phone for business or for social media at this point. Put your phone bill under a business expense, and now that can reduce your overall tax liability. So there's some strategic benefits to having an LLC, especially if it's just you who's running the LLC. And oftentimes we're always doing work in the business. So most of our lives, I say that with caution, talk to an expert, but a lot of the things that we do with our lives can be written off as a business expense. But if you need to know how to do it, what the categories are, and talk to an expert so they can file it for you. Whereas if you're just doing it as a sole proprietor and you're claiming a loss, the government is more likely to audit you because you don't get a tax deduction for a hobby. And so the government's rule, the IRS's rule that says if you're a sole proprietor, you have to be profitable in 5 out of the last 7 years. Otherwise, you have a hobby. You got to make a profit in 5 out of the last 7 years. Otherwise, it's just a hobby and you don't get to claim that. As an LLC, you have told the government, I'm in business and I'm doing my best and I didn't make it profit this year. And that's okay because you've already let them know that you're in business.
Thank you for supporting the M4 show and our mission to increase the wealth of Black families.
If you received any value from this episode, any value at all, any, do us a favor and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple, Spotify, anything, all of them, all of them, wherever you're listening, go ahead and like and subscribe.
And after you like and subscribe, make sure you send this episode to at least one family that you really want to see win. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.